Here they come.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Darling, they're on.
Hello, everyone. Wait, there's still some people waiting. They're coming in. They're coming in. We're on page 2. I see John.
Hello. These settings look familiar, Adrian.
What?
Good morning. Good morning.
Did you
Hey,
say
John.
my setting looks familiar?
No, I mean,
Look who you guys are. It looks like how.
it looks like House Hunters International.
Yeah.
Hey, John. John, how are you feeling?
I'm fine. My voice was just wacky yesterday. I'm not like sick. I just wasn't my usual vocal self, and I was very self-conscious.
Let's see. I think everybody's on at the moment. This is great. Coming in. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Glad to be
Isn't
here.
it fun? I mean, so what we're going to do while everybody's coming in, we're going to have a little bit of time where we can just chat among ourselves, actually, and kind of say hello to everyone and find some of your friends, people you know, find people you don't know.
Okay, fine.
We're going to do as good a job as we can of kind of feeling like we're actually physically together, even though I know we're all over the place. Okay, who is as far away as California?
Yay. Arizona.
All right. Okay, where else? Let's hear it.
Florida.
Delaware.
Delaware, Florida.
Atlanta.
Pennsylvania.
Atlanta.
Toronto. I love it. I love it. And who's in France?
France.
I'm in France.
We're in
Nice
France.
as you.
My heart's in France.
Annie.
Exactly.
I think we have
Annie, how are you?
we have a niece contingent.
And who wants to be in France?
Everybody.
Hi, John.
Hello.
Annie.
John's on from Nice.
I love it. And I see Patricia Sands, illustrious author, wave and say hello. Wow. So, okay, let's
Love
see.
your books.
We now have, let's see how many, we have 66 and growing. That's wonderful.
56 people on.
Yeah, all at once and all able to just sort of, like talk and say. For whoever does not have your video on, it would really be nice if you would put your video on so we can see you.
Where's Ella? She's vanished.
I just realized there's like 3
Ella's
pages,
right
so
there at the top. She's at the top.
I was missing pages.
Trish, I'm here.
Oh my gosh.
Ella's dressed like her book cover today.
Yeah, you're going to have to stand.
Come on, come on, come on. Come on.
You're going to have to
Come
stand
on.
and show them your dress. Can you do that? Do you hear me, Ella?
I only have,
Can't see everybody.
Adrian?
I said you're going to have to
There
stand up and show everybody your pink dress.
Oh. Everybody on the book cover because it's the same.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we
That's
want
why
to see it in person.
We want to see you. You have to
We
see
want you to zoom it.
how do I do?
Okay, here she goes. Look.
Very cute.
Yay.
Okay, and now you can show off your book.
Yes.
Now you can show off your book, dear.
You'll recognize it. It's the same.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Right, there she is. And at one point, she will take off her sunglasses. This is for effect. I know this.
Yeah. It's in the bright sun of Nice.
Exactly.
Nine
Point.
people are on.
Wow, look at this. Okay, we now have 71.
Why can't we see them all? I can't see everybody.
Well, you know, there's a tab on the right. There's
Change
a
to
little
pages.
arrow. Click your arrow on
Oh.
the right, and everybody kind of pages over. You see that?
Really? No, I don't see that. Okay.
You have to
Are you
hover over
on
it before you
gallery view or speaker view?
Mine's at the top.
Gallery
Top
view.
right. Top
Try
right.
gallery view.
Gallery views.
Oh, wow. Yeah, now I get it. Yeah, that's so cool.
Shelley and Ruthie Ann and different.
Right. Well, okay, so it looks like most people are here. A few people are still coming in. I just want everyone to know
Hey, Beth,
first
it's
of all,
Jody.
that we are recording.
One more quick thing to just be thinking about, not that you don't have like a bazillion things,
Mute
but
yourself.
I want to make sure at some point that this is not a one-way thing. Doesn't Grand Catch from time to time come bar?
Jody.
Who's that, Jody?
Oh, Ella's got her glasses off.
Jody.
I
Jody.
had mute grandma there. He's on a business call.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
guys.
Right on. Okay.
Are we ready? Can we get started? Sort of. Okay, first of all, we are recording the session. Okay, and we will make this available to you, probably on Vimeo, and we'll do that in the form of a link so that you can actually rewatch it if you want, or share it with your friends, your Facebook friends, whatever. Okay, so this is kind of like it's a public event. Think of it that way. So if you don't want to be on camera, this is your opportunity to go off camera. Otherwise, you're there. Okay?
Stop the video. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you just don't want to, if you don't want to be on. Otherwise, we'd really like to see you, And just so you know that, this is our monthly coffee gathering that we have been doing on the second Tuesday of every month since 2003. But of course, thanks to COVID, we're now doing it on Zoom and not just live in Paris. And so we've done the last couple of sessions like this. There's no August session, so this is the last one for the season. In September, we are going to be back at the cafe in Paris. And we're not sure if we're going to be able to Zoom or not, but we're going to try to actually Zoom the meeting at the same time as having it live. And I make no promises because we have to figure out if this is going to work or not. But part of the problem was that we moved the timing to 6 p.m. Paris and Nice time, so that West Coast people could participate in this without having to be up at the crack of dawn. And that's the one thing we probably won't do when we go live again. We'll be at 3 o'clock. So I just don't know how this is going to work out, but okay, so stay tuned for that information. And I'm so thrilled that Ella is here because Ella was supposed to be here live. We're fortunate that she managed to actually get to Nice. We weren't even sure she was going to make it to Nice at all, right? In fact, Ella, I think you were due in tomorrow, right? Originally you were due in.
Originally, I was due in March, but
okay.
Things intervened.
Right, exactly. And Ella has written a book called Nice and Nice, which is quite appropriate. Want to hold up your book again?
Sure. And if you want to mute everyone, I think somebody might be having some difficulty.
Yeah, we're going to, when Ella's going to get started now, so we're going to go ahead and mute everybody. Okay?
Yeah.
And so you're just going to be quiet while she's speaking, but let me just ask you this. You can put your questions in the chat box. You know how to do that? You open up the chat, and then you can actually put a question in there, and we're going to be monitoring those questions. So after Ella's presentation, we'll address the questions. Okay? Is everybody ready?
Ready?
Ready. Okay, here we go. Ella, you're on.
Okay, super. First of all, welcome. Thank you all.
Ella, we have to unmute you.
Okay, unmute me. I'll unmute me. I muted Jody, but I can be unmuted.
Yeah, you
okay,
have to be unmuted.
It says I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Very good.
You can also put it on speaker view, everybody. You can click on speaker view so that you can see Ella big, and then everybody else you see small across the top. Okay? We're good. Ella, you're on.
Super. Again, thank you all so very much for joining us. I hope you can hear me okay. Please thumbs up, thumbs down if there's something that needs to be adjusted. This is the first time that I'm doing not Zoom, but the first time I'm presenting to such an esteemed audience via Zoom. So I'm very, very pleased. And again, just thank you so much. So I have a little presentation designed just for consistency's sake, so I can cover a few things, and then I just look forward to a very interactive conversation with you all today in regards to my book, Nice and Nice. As you can see, yes, I dress like my book cover. It's the same dress from when the book was launched 7 years ago. I bring it out for every presentation, so. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen if I know how to do that. And
at the bottom, there's a little button at the bottom.
I have share screen and my files. This worked before everybody joined us. Bear with me, y'all.
You should be able to.
No, I see it, but I don't see my.
Open your presentation, and then when you go to share screen, you'll see it, and you have to click on, you have to select it.
I think I need to close the presentation or shrink it and get to our close.
You shouldn't have to do that.
Well, remember I shared it before, so that will not be good. I can't do it again because it would be very helpful to have. Let's see.
Oh, we'll have patience.
Well, I appreciate that so much. Let's see if this works. Getting close, I believe. No, that is not it. And I'm out.
Is it open on your computer?
It is.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then you press the share screen button.
I believe I'm close, y'all. Where's a 12-year-old to help me when I need it?
Yeah.
Okay, Ella, I can help you here.
Oh, I would have never made it out of business school without your help. So.
Okay. Okay.
I recognize that voice.
Okay. You got the bottom of share content?
Yes.
Okay. Just press on it, please.
Press what, sir?
Share screen.
Press the bottom where it says share content.
It's,
share screen.
I pressed share screen, yes, like we did when you saw my presentation earlier, Adrian.
I know we saw it. It was working a few minutes ago perfectly.
It's really there, I promise. But maybe that needs to.
No, it opens up a panel, Ella, and then you have to select the one thing that's on your desktop that you want to share.
If any other hosts are sharing, then it might not let her share because only one person can share at a time.
So you can have multiple people sharing at a time. This is Shantaria. I'm an IT, used to be an IT expert, but I'm pretty expert on Zoom. So Ella, do me I need you to find the screen that you see the gallery view of everyone's face.
Yes, I have that, my dear.
So at the bottom of that screen, there's a button, green. It's called Share Screen.
Yes.
Click on that. Now pause, take a breath.
Yes, thank you. Take a breath and a drink. Okay.
You see your those.
So what I see now is something that is like files that, like my Google.
Right. Click on the one that looks like your presentation.
It is
and it's not there?
Hold on a second. Ella, I need you to go up to the upper right hand and close the box, the share box. Okay.
Oh, yay. She's got it. Yay.
It takes a woman. Thank you, Shantaria. It takes a female. Okay, so
great.
There we go. Thank you all so very, very much for your patience with that. Okay, so everyone can see and hear all right? Yes?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, well, let's go on. Again, my book, Nice and Nice, I wrote it in 2000, early 2000s. I was an early blogger, and I want to just talk a little bit about that today. I always like to, I have a couple of business school classmates on with us, which I greatly appreciate, as far away as Egypt and California. So thank you both very, very much for joining us. You all remember our presentations at the International University in Monaco, and I would have never graduated without your help. So thank you. You're still helping me. So today, I would just like to, in our time together, talk about three things. And when I present or speak in public, I always like go with three things. So the question always comes up, like, why did you write a book? Why would anybody write a book or publish a book? You know, you're maybe not an expert in any particular field or what, but, and then when you start talking about that, people then also ask, well, is it better to self-publish or to go should I find an editor and an agent and go the traditional route? And those are some good questions. I don't have all the answers, but we'll touch base on that a little bit. And then the ultimate question is, why Nice? Or maybe that question really is, why nice? So we'll go from there, and we'll circle back on some of those and I'll do my best to answer any questions that you may have. So why write a book? For me personally, I started writing a blog many, many years ago. Jody and I had bought our apartment here in Nice shortly before the Euro, lucky us. And we started spending more time here, much to his chagrin. And his parents were still with us, 2 World War II veterans, Army veterans. And I just wanted them to know what we were doing. Wanted them to feel confident in that we were safe and having a good time. So I would blog every day. And I thought later on, you know, there's that old saying, publish or perish. Typically that phrase applies to academia, but lately, in the last decade or more, with the advent of social media, and I think actually my classmate Nisam is the one that invited me to Facebook the first time 12 or 13 years ago. It seems like more and more everybody has a story, and I believe that. So it's one way to just share your story, whether it be with the globe, like I feel like I'm doing now, or maybe it's just something to pass along to the next generation. And in my case, I was really passing along a passion, my passion for the French culture, the French language, which I still struggle with, but also just living on the Côte d'Azur. And finally, being able to walk into any room and present this is kind of like the ultimate calling card. I have been in IT meetings, introduced as a speaker in a startup community, and people will say, oh yes, this is Ella, she wrote the book on Nice. she's in a tech company right now, or she worked with a private venture capital firm, but she wrote the book on Nice. So it truly is the ultimate calling card. And I encourage everyone to just take a moment and think about your own life and your own journey and what might be of interest to the next generation or to maybe somebody across the globe. So when it comes to self-publishing or doing something traditionally, there's a lot of great information available on the web. There, amongst us today, we have marvelous authors that have published traditionally, both Lisa, who's with us, and Patricia. And I think it just depends on what is the purpose of your book. For me, self-publishing, it was just right for me and my book. It was easy, it was quick. Of course, the flip side of that is that I've done all the marketing. Any error is on my shoulders. I had the help of some wonderful friends that would reread everything for me, but it's still up to me. So that's what you get when you self-publish. You also may risk lower sales and therefore lower royalties. For me, the royalties are important, but only because the proceeds go to the retirement home, the Petite Sœur de Paul, here in Nice, where I have volunteered. And actually, my friend Mary has gone there with me in the past. It's the one place I feel young and tall. And I have put my name on the list so that when the time comes, I can just move from Jean Médecin around the corner to the Little Sisters of the Poor. The traditional path, and again, I have no experience with this, but there are some marvelous authors that are in Adrian's network. So please reach out to me, to her. If you truly have a manuscript or a book, a story that you want to think about a traditional publishing path, and we can perhaps connect you all for some real information. But it's prestigious. You have tremendous assistance with distribution and therefore royalties, income, potentially even in advance, and a lot of recognition. The flip side on that is it can be a much slower process. People describe it as a lot of red tape. I've heard authors say, oh, my editor again. And I received the draft, and this whole section was gone because they didn't like it, but it was so important to me. So you give up a lot of your power, but you have to weigh those differences. You may feel like you have a lack of control, and there may be some limited royalties. This is what I learned from just a limited amount of research here at thecreativepen.com. So take a look, and again, if you really feel that you have a book that you feel is right for the traditional path, reach out to us, and we'll see if we can not connect you with some authors that have gone down that path to great success. So the question is, why Nice? And I often like to answer this question the same way I answer the question when I'm studying the French language, with their 500 plus grammatical rules that have 5,000 exceptions. Pourquoi pas? Why not? Why not Nice? Jody and I came to Nice. Jody brought me to Nice the first time over 30 years ago. I think he is still regretting that decision. And I got off the plane, took a deep breath, and said, this is better than anything I've ever seen in Southern California, where I grew up. And lo and behold, year after year, I just wanted to spend more and more time here. From a real estate standpoint, and that I will talk about a little bit because some of you may or may not know that I've been thrilled to be working with Adrian to help other Americans move to the Côte d'Azur. the answer truly is location, location, location. The beauty of Nice is that it is in the middle of the Riviera. We have an international airport. We have a tremendous public transportation system. Jody and I can be here for months at a time and never ever get into an automobile. Have no need to take a car. We can take a train, we can take the tram, we can take a bus, and it is just really, really delightful. It can be a day trip. We can go on a cruise around the Mediterranean or up to the Baltics to see my family in Sweden. You have access because of the location of Nice. And Nice has really been the vacation destination of the globe for several thousand years, according to some publications. As I said, there have been people that have been traveling here. I had the opportunity to attend the University of the Côte d'Azur, formerly the University of Nice, last year studying the French language, and in the history course that we were taking, the professor shared with us that the country of France has always been inhabited. It's said that there were cave dwellers from 400,000 years ago that came to the Riviera to hunt woolly mammoths. So maybe that wasn't exactly their vacation, but people were always coming to the region. We know the climate is just marvelous. We do have 4 seasons, but they're each very mild. At one time, the Riviera was most popular during the winter. Many of the people from Britain would come by in order to, or would come to the area during the winter months for their health. And, but then evidently in the early 20s, or the late 20s, Coco Chanel showed up very tan on a boat maybe in Cannes, and there'll be a historian in the group that can correct me here. And the desirable season then flipped from winter to summer. And also an American by the name of Sullivan, I believe, really made the Riviera very, very popular during the 20s and the 30s. And for me personally, and for Jody, and for several generations of our family, it's just a lovely lifestyle. It's wonderful to go out of our apartment that is on the main street, Jean Médecin, goes perpendicular into the Promenade des Anglais, where there's the Mediterranean. And from here, we can go, if we go north, we can go to the market, a beautiful open air market. We go left, we're going south into the beach. East and west, if I go east, I go towards Monaco. West, I go towards the beautiful city of Cannes. And it's just really very, very accessible and very, very enjoyable. I always think of a few sayings that come to mind about the region, but especially about Nice. I'm not sure, and again, a historian could probably correct me, but it's been said that Nice is a sunny place for shady people. Some people, more than one person has claimed to be the author of this statement. A former religious leader from this area said one time in describing the area to me that Nice really soul. And then our lovely friends, Jackie and Burton, former board members of the American Club of the Riviera, shared one phrase with me one time, and with the group actually, that really resonated with me even years later. Burton, you'll remember this, I believe it was the ACR's Thanksgiving dinner maybe 5 or 6 years ago, when you talked about expatriates. And you said that expatriates, and many of us on this call are expatriates, even if it's just part-time. You said that we are curious, courageous, and kind. And then you elaborated by saying your expatriates are curious because they want to know about other cultures. They're courageous because they move to other cultures, and they're kind because they've experienced these other cultures. And that just has really stuck with me. And we know that we have a tremendous Anglophone community, expatriate community here on the Riviera. In Nice, we have many, many Americans, many of us trying to learn the language and be part of the local culture. But we do have that common thread that we wanted to go out and see something different. And I think that that is really just a delightful thing, because we understand how sometimes very similar these various cultures are, even from very different countries. So I share that with you all. And hopefully my video works here, because I'm prattling on about Nice and what I love so much. But before I do that, I'm going to go back to that previous slide. Nice is a sunny place for shady people. And I'm going to elaborate on that just a little bit with a reading from my book. Again, Jody and I live on Jean Médecin. Some of my classmates and friends and many of our family members have been here. It's rather historic. In fact, today marks, it would be close to 75 years. It was this date in 1944, just about 6 weeks before Nice was liberated from the Nazis, that two resistance fighters were hung in the square just a half a block from us. In fact, anybody that has ever been to Gallery Lafayette, they know that they've seen these large plaques with the two gentlemen that were real heroes were hung there. I have the privilege of knowing one little lady that some of you all may have met. She's in my book. Her name is Christine. I met her in the grocery store. She was also in the resistance. She was just a teenager, and she was very petite. She's even more petite than I am, or you are, Mary. And she was responsible for running documents and one time even ammunition from Nice to Marseille. And she told me when we attended this ceremony on July 7th, many years ago, to commemorate these two heroes, she told me she remembered coming back from a mission in Marseille and seeing their bodies, because they were left there as an example for a few days. So every year on July 7th, I don't believe it will take place tonight because of the pandemic, flowers are laid at the site where these gentlemen were hung, where their plaques are engraved. And it's really a very, very moving ceremony. There are people that were in the resistance or their descendants. There have been descendants of these two gentlemen. In fact, we have a friend here that has the same last name as one of the victims, and she can trace her lineage back to him as a distant relative. So it's really a very historical area. But there are also some shady people in this sunny place. And so I'm going to read a passage in my book. If any of you all have attended our Midi authors event that we've hosted in Nice for the last 7 or 8 years, you may remember this particular passage. But picture it, Jean Médecin, not far from where these resistance fighters lost their lives, is our bank, Société Générale, which has been there for a very, very long time. So sometime in the 1970s, evidently, some people got the bright idea to rob the bank. Now, they didn't do it the traditional way. They did it their own way. So this will be July 19th, and this July 19th will be, somebody do the math for me, I think it's 34 years now. I'm going to read, but we were there for the 30th, no, it'll be 44 years. We were here for the 30th anniversary of what is called the Great Bank Heist, July 19th. So as we've mentioned many times before, there's always something happening on our street here in France. Whether it be a moving memorial to war heroes, a parade, wedding, or manifestation, there is always something going on, and we have a front row seat from our windows. Sadly, we don't have a balcony, but that's okay. Such was the case when Danny, walking ditto, our dearly departed ditto Dyer, who left us last year, but our father-in-law Danny was walking ditto, he went past the bank. When all of a sudden, several dozen men came out of the bank in blue uniforms, and they were throwing something up in the air. People passing it by thought, is this by chance money? So everybody scrambled looking at it. But upon a closer look, it was actually an artist's rendering of one of Nice's most notorious noblemen. Once we leave behind a few words of wisdom and several lewd photos of Nice's more famous or prominent residents, which have been spoken of from time to time, there were deposit boxes, safety boxes that probably housed a scandal. And they were later dubbed the crime of the century, which also became a best-selling book and a movie. These thieves literally burrowed underneath ground and into the vault where the safety boxes were to rob them. Thanks again to the internet, we learned that Saggieri, which I believe is how his name is pronounced, grew up in the area where his mother owned a lingerie store. He is reported to have committed his first robbery in order to offer a diamond to a girlfriend. He would later enter the French Foreign Legion and fought as a paratrooper during the Indochina War, what Americans know as Vietnam. In 1976, he was the owner of a photography studio in Nice, living in a house in the hills over Nice, but he apparently quickly became bored with his law-abiding middle-class life. Later accounts described him as a cavalier and stylish person. When living in Nice, he used to wear sunglasses most of the time and smoke very large cigars. Can't blame him for that one. A style that made him resemble the singer Jacques Dutronc. When Saggieri heard that the sewers were closed to the vault of the Société Générale Bank, he began to plan a break-in. Eventually, he decided to do it by digging into the bank vault from below and rented a box in the vault himself. Before digging, he rented this box in the vault. And what he did to test his theory was he put a very loud alarm clock in the vault. He set the clock to ring at night in order to check if the possible existence of any acoustic sound would set off an alarm. In fact, there were no alarms protecting the vault because it was considered utterly safe. The door wall was extremely thick and there was no obvious way to access the other walls. Saggieri contacted professional gangsters from Marseille, and it's never been verified, but he probably got support from some others that were part of his friends, including the would-be assassin of Charles de Gaulle. On July 16, 1976, during a long weekend because of Bastille Day, because the French love their holidays, his gang broke into the vault itself. They opened up 400 safe deposit boxes and stole an estimated 60 million francs worth of money, which would, at that time, was about $10 million, and securities and valuables. But according to some accounts, he was really after what was inside the box that had nothing to do with money. Evidently, there were photos, incriminating photos of many of the local leaders that he was going to to use for blackmail or to perhaps free some of his friends. I'll stop there and move forward a few pages because as interesting as all of that was, now remember, I wrote my blog and then repurposed this content for my book. So at the time of writing that experience when my father-in-law was walking ditto and it was the 30-year anniversary and these people came charging out of the bank to commemorate the 30 years of this great bank heist, I wrote about it. And I had some feedback. And that was really interesting to me. A few days later, actually a few weeks later, I received this note on my blog. Hello, are you sure about the fact that John Kay was in the team? He still is, wanted by the police, but for another affair. John Kay and the others have stolen 8 million francs at a Paris BNP, another Paris bank, at the same time in July of 1976. So this reader was questioning my account 30 years later of what happened. And he was saying that some of the participants were actually robbing another bank in Paris, so they couldn't possibly have been robbing the bank in Nice. Once again, Nice is a sunny place for shady people. I responded to the reader who left the comment anonymously, saying, please, tell me who you are or not, but why do you say this? And I really tried to engage in some dialogue with him and how he knew it. Years later, I met an attorney here through some mutual friends that knows that actually was in the courtroom when the main character was being tried. And legend has it that he said he needed to go to he needed to use the facilities during his trial, which was like the trial of the century for the region. And instead of going to the restroom, he went out a window from the Palais de Justice, which for those of us that know Nice know where that is, in the old town, so it's at least the second story or the third story. Went out the window, landed in some sort of a vehicle that was padded enough so it didn't kill him, and drove off. There is a book about this story. There is a movie which I just watched during early quarantine time back in the States, and it's really fascinating. Again, the bank robber's name is Spaghieri. I'm not pronouncing that properly, but I'm happy to point you in the direction of any of those names and references because there's always something going on in Nice. The history is great. It goes back tens of thousands of years. Jody and I go back to the area for at least 30 years, and we know a little bit about it, and it's just a lot of fun.
What's
but
the
right
name
now,
of the movie, Ella? Ella, what's the name of the movie?
Pardon?
What's the name of the movie?
I don't recall because I watched it in America. They had changed the title, but if somebody were to just Google Bank Heist, Société Générale, Nice, 1976, I'm sure they could find it. And like I said, in follow-up, I'm very happy to research it. I can give you the spelling of the main character's name. I can't pronounce it properly, but I can give you the proper spelling.
Maybe Patty can do that and come up with it while we're sitting here.
It is.
Madame Resource can do that.
Yes, perfect. So there's between the resistance fighters, the bank robberies, the prehistoric discoveries from the cave dwellers that have been found in the area. The city is just full of history. It was part of Savoy, which was evidently associated with Sardinia. It's easy for us as Americans to say, well, Nice was part of Italy, but that's not true. That's not exactly accurate. And up until 1860, it had gone back and forth between the different countries. It was the Romans were here. There's Roman ruins not far. But in last month was, I guess, 160 years of Nice reverting back to French, being a city in France. And we're really glad that it is, but you still enjoy a very, very heavy Italian influence. Wonderful pizza and just beautiful architecture. So if my video works here, I'm going to give you all that may not have been to Nice, or if you're away from Nice for a while, a little aerial view of the city. And that is not it. We'll start with this. We won't play all of it. We'll play.
While you're doing that, it's called, oh, she found it.
Thank you, John. This is the beautiful court that is now accessible by the tram. The tram now will take you all the way from the airport to the court.
Hey, Ella, the video's not playing.
It's not? Sorry.
No.
Okay, so let's see if she...
Well, you know what you do? You have to, is it on a, it's on a different, it's different than the presentation, right?
No, it was supposed to be part of the presentation. So you can see the presentation, yes?
Right.
Yeah. Is the video embedded in the presentation, Ella?
Yes, it is, but it's not, it doesn't seem to be showing. So I'm just, hold on, let me try this one.
What you can do is stop the screen share, then reshare the video.
Okay, let me know about this, y'all.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Stop the screen share. Then
Okay.
start video, and then restart the screen share and select the video. Try that.
Got it.
Isn't technology fun?
Well, especially when we did a dress rehearsal, and you would never know.
Yeah, but it's always like this.
This happens in my classroom all the time, especially when I have a presentation for the admin.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that, Alka. Thank you.
Okay, she's trying it again.
No.
No.
No. All right. Well,
that's strange. It should show.
If it's in the presentation, if you advance to the next page of the presentation, will it show from there maybe?
That's the last page. I was going to go out on a high, but that was the last page. Nope. And I stopped the screen share. We'll go back to the screen share. It shows up on my screen.
That's the video where it says I love Nice?
Is that it?
Oh
no. Okay. I'm so sorry. It does not seem to play.
Ella,
yes.
Hi, it's Lisa. Are you able to see the video play when you're watching it?
Yes, and I'm enjoying it.
So just for the video moment, don't show PowerPoint in full screen. We may see a bit of your desktop, but hopefully we'll see what you're seeing. And then go back to full screen in PowerPoint for the rest. You see what I'm saying? You're still going to share your screen, but you're going to exit full screen mode in PowerPoint and just show the video in the, you know what I mean, on the desktop.
Oh, that's good thinking, Lisa.
You see what I'm saying? It'll still be in your PowerPoint, but it'll be, it'll be not in full screen mode. But we'll see what you're seeing ideally.
Okay, not sure.
You'll still share your screen. You'll just exit full screen mode in PowerPoint and then go back to full screen mode for the rest.
I am still sharing the screen.
Yeah, so still sharing with Zoom, but exit presentation mode in PowerPoint and see if the video, we can see the video that way.
The video doesn't start unless it's in full screen.
You can't click on it within the layout mode?
No.
Okay, I would know how to do that. Okay, it was just a thought.
Is the video on YouTube?
It's on Instagram. Why don't let's see. Let me start the video.
Try that.
And let me
try that.
Let me put it in chat.
Let's see.
See if this would work, you all. So there's the link. It's an Instagram video. It's only about 20 seconds, but it's just a lovely aerial view that we started to watch during our dress rehearsal. If anybody wants to just copy and paste that for future reference, they're welcome to.
Or is Adrian able to play it from her?
Yeah, maybe you could, Adrian. But now you seem to be muted, my dear.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna share my screen. Okay.
Perfect.
That's it, right?
That's it.
Yep, there we go.
Can I make this full screen? Oh, I can't wait to be there.
It's just repeating on a loop.
Oh, it's repeating?
Yeah.
I'll let it go one more time and then I'll stop it.
Very short. What I would like to mention, and Adrian and Jody is that our wonderful mayor,
Okay. That's almost over, right?
that's it.
Okay.
That is it.
There you go.
Yeah. So, Monsieur Christian Estrosi, he was recently reelected for the third time, and he has been in office, and I feel making tremendous progress for the city as a whole. When Shantiria, Wisam, and a few others and I were in business school in 2006, I remember one of our administrators saying that his goal, the mayor's goal, was really to make Nice the green capital of Southern Europe. He wanted Nice to be reimagined as not just the vacation destination of the world, but as a really green area. And he has been working on that ever since. Jody will remember when I was in school, that's when they were building the tram on our street, Jean Médecin, and it was a nightmare for a couple of years. We would go out our front door, we live above Zara, we'd go out the front door, and it was construction, construction, construction. It is brilliant now. It was worth those few years of discomfort because we can go anywhere. The tram is like background noise, just the ring of the tram when it comes to a stop. There's no traffic on our street. There is an occasional manifestation or a protest that we have a front row view to, but there are no cars, and it's wonderful. He went on to dismantle the old bus stop that was not far from our home, between here and the beach, and we're only about 5 minutes from the beach, and create what originally started out as the Coulee Vert, or the green, I think it's like corridor, and now it is fountains and gardens and a park for children, and it too is absolutely brilliant. And it is a destination for families. It's a destination for tourists. And we just walk out our front door, we go to the left, we pass the site of the big bank heist and the resistance fighters memorial. And we go through Place Messina, where Apollo was wearing a mask during lockdown, which was quite clever, the giant statue. And there is the park, and it's just absolutely wonderful. So Mr. Ostrozzi has worked very, very hard to make Nice pedestrian friendly, for the Niçois to have a good carbon footprint, because we don't have vehicles. Our buses are natural gas or electric. The tram is brilliant, and we can hop on the tram and go to the train and go to another city or another country. And it just is really, it goes back to that lovely lifestyle that I mentioned. And when Adrian first promoted my program today, she said, well, it seems like the question is a lifetime enough? You know, I talk about how much I love Nice, and Adrian came up with the question, well, is a lifetime enough? And I've had more than half my life visiting here and living here part-time, a third of my life, and I can say a lifetime is not enough. There's something, Nice will just sing to you. And again, the last few years, I've had the opportunity, I joke and say that I stalked Adrian. Jody and I have been receiving her newsletters for years now. We did not meet her, and I don't believe that we may or may not have had her newsletter when we found our flat here 20 years ago. But I was convinced that I wanted to meet Adrian, and so
that was before me, Ella. You've had the flat as long as I've had my apartment in Paris. So.
But I had been receiving your newsletter from either a little bit before we bought our flat or shortly thereafter. We didn't engage with you to find our flat because of our needs. We spent a year finding it through our mutual friend and colleague Wanda. But about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe, I finally said, you know what? I want to meet Adrian. And I'm not sure if you had your apartment here in Nice by then. So I emailed her and I said, can I take you to lunch? And she's like, well, yeah, but I'm not in Nice. I said, that's okay, I'll come to Paris.
She did. She came to Paris to have lunch.
You can do that in Nice.
Yeah, you can just do that. That's right.
One of the first times that Elka, my dear friend from junior high school, who's tuning in from California also, we had breakfast in France. We went to Italy for lunch, and we stopped back in Monaco for dinner that night.
There's 3 countries in one day.
Yes. So we just ate our way through the region, and you can. But meeting Adrian then was wonderful, especially for me. And since then, I've had the opportunity to help other Americans relocate, whether it be part-time or full-time. And that has been marvelous for me, and hopefully for them. One of our attendees is John, who is with us, and you know him from House Hunters International, not once but twice. Our local singer. And as Jody refers to him as my boyfriend. So that's it. I love Nice. I've been here for a long time. I intend to be here for a long time, whether it's full-time or not. Had the opportunity to go to business school at the University of Monaco. So my classmates are with us. That was a wonderful experience. The hardest thing I've ever done. Just one of the most difficult things. And then last year, I went back to the University of Nice. It's now the University of the Côte d'Azur, to start the B levels in the French language, and applying for that again. And there's just a lot to do. And if anybody has any questions about how to write a book, how to move to France, just let us know, or let's have a discussion, because I know we have time.
I have the first. I would want the floor the first. Before I thank you for such a great presentation, and before we open the floor to questions, the best thing that happened to me was meeting Ella. So you guys need to know that it wasn't Ella stalking me, it was me meeting Ella, because she's been my right arm in Nice to find fabulous properties for rent and for purchase, and to really kind of just, she's like the center of the American community. She's the doyenne of Nice, you might say. And she knows absolutely everyone, and has made a zillion friends. So she's like the one to talk to, and I don't know what I would do without her, quite honestly. So on that note, yes, let's open up the questions. And I think that rather than typing them in, I think the best thing is just to unmute yourself or raise your hand, and let's go to gallery view so we can see everybody, and just open this up for questions.
Can I chime in really quick?
Please do, John.
Okay, so when I first contacted Adrian and she said I would be working with Ella initially, I was like, I don't know who she is, and I was like, I want to work with Adrian, and I was a little disappointed at first. And she's like, oh, I promise you will love Ella. You will love Ella, I promise. And oh my God, did I fall in love with Ella.
Yeah, screw me. That's it.
No, I don't mean it like that. You know, nobody can replace Adrian. But when you told me that, I was like, but no. I mean, you guys work together so amazingly well and have your own.
Does everybody know who John is? John Garland Jones, singer extraordinaire, star of 2 House Hunters International shows.
And one cameo. I did a cameo in Jack and Sarah's episode, so I don't know if that counts.
That's right. That's right. And John, you're singing again, right? Live.
Yes, Le Truc Saturday nights, Brewdog Sunday afternoons, and then I'm going to keep doing my Thursday evening Facebook Lives.
Okay, great. Okay. So who has questions? Yeah, go, Susan. There's Susan.
I gotta tell you, I adore Ella. I met her, and the week I spent with her, we looked at each other at a point in time and we're like, oh, it's Lucy and Ethel here. I mean, the 2 of us are like a screen together, and she found me the most amazing apartment. And Adrian, you've seen it. I mean, it's just
great. It's great.
It's incredible. However, Ella, had I known I was going to be in a 2-month confinement and stuck in my apartment, I would have pushed harder for that balcony.
I understand.
But otherwise, I mean, Ella just, I mean, she knows the city, she knows the people. She was just, you know, incredible. And I treasure meeting her. I'm so glad you finally made it back here. And thank you.
We will catch up.
Yeah.
Susan, that background is not your apartment, right?
No, that is not my apartment.
That's your fake background.
Because I'm sitting here, and if you looked at my background, it's all my art studio space.
Right.
And so it's not so pretty.
Right. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, we should put a disclosure that that's not my niece's apartment.
I thought it was. I was like, wow, that's palatial.
No. But it is quite large for a niece apartment, actually.
My background is fake, but it is my actual apartment. It's just the view behind me is actually my kitchen, so it's not so glamorous. Hi, everybody. I missed the first few minutes. Hi, Patricia. Hi, everybody that I know. Hi, John. Hi, Ella. So you're in Nice now.
Yeah,
you're back. Hey, awesome. I just wanted to make a comment. It was early in your talk. You mentioned people that did conventional publishing versus self-publishing, and yes, I did traditional publishing. But that doesn't mean that the authors don't have to do the lion's share of the marketing. So I don't want you to feel like you missed out on like great support for marketing, because the truth is they give you about 3 months of an initial push, and then you're on your own. But you're right, the biggest difference is distribution. They have all those great distribution channels, but you know, my publisher didn't have half the vision. I mean, they didn't push internationally as much as I thought. But you market, it doesn't matter, traditional or self, you do all the marketing yourself pretty much. So
good to know. Thank you. Lisa's book, My Part-Time Paris Life, is wonderful. It's really enjoyable. I refer to Nice and Nice as a vapid little beach read. You can just like turn a page and, oh, there's Jody and Ella at a bar again. Oh, they're having a birthday party. Oh, she's made cookies for the church. Oh, it's a little repetitive, but it's what we were doing, and it's a snapshot in time. Our granddaughters, when they still wanted grandma to read them a bedtime story, they would say, well, turn to the next page. And they would want to know, you know, what we were doing, and I would have to be kind of selective, but it's family friendly, photo flat.
It's a great book, honey. Don't discount it. I will tell you that mine started with a blog as well, and my blog started for the same reason, just to share. I had bought the apartment, and I just wanted to share with everyone how that was going and what that was like. So it doesn't matter self-published, traditional published. It's a book. It's a lovely book. It's a fun read, and it's great.
Well, it's a lot of fun to have, and like I said, it's the ultimate calling card. It's something you'll have, and the reason for presenting today is after 7 years of having it published, I finally worked on it and made it available now on Amazon. It's always been available on Amazon, but in paperback. Again, the proceeds going to the retirement home in Nice, but it is now available in ebook form. Proceeds still go to the retirement home, and hopefully, you know, that will just open up to a few more people that want to read it. And then Elka, my sister from another mister, she's like, "How are you getting an audio book?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, no! I hate my voice."
Oh, your voice would be perfect.
Yeah.
Can I chime in?
Yes.
And Lisa, I've read your blog daily about anybody can be taught to sing or learn to sing, and I'm like, that's a challenge I should really.
So when I come to Nice, we're going to do a lesson, because your speaking voice is very musical, and there's no reason why you can't sing a tune. So don't even with me, girl.
Ella, speaking of sing, the last time I was in Nice, we're sitting at a restaurant listening to some music, and Ella calls the singer over and says, she goes, just play along with me here, dear. And she goes, this is a very famous singer from America, and she'd love to do a song with you. And I'm like,
Also known as Songbird. Really, Anna and Lisa, you all need to meet, and you all need to do a duet with John.
Oh, I'd love to.
I'm game.
And Ella,
I have these Mondays on my blog, so I'm all about collaboration. So,
Ella and I are salt and pepper, and we've known each other since, let's see, a couple of years. It's been a few years. You know, we were in high school together. So just a few years.
It's like 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long. But Ella she's like a sister to me, and I have so enjoyed this book and knowing her and Jody. And you are such an inspiration to me. Everybody loves Ella, but I think I have special love for her as my sister. Now I've got some things going on in my head about, maybe I'll see her about an apartment. Maybe she could help me publish my book.
That would be fantastic.
Listen, there's always a way. If you would have told, Alpha and I know, I not you, but me, the welfare baby from the other side of the tracks, and I end up, in the Côte d'Azur working for Adrian, having published a book, and I ended up in jail. Lucky me. So, very good.
You would have never ended up there. Never.
Anybody else have questions?
Patricia, another well-known artist and author.
Thanks, Ella. I'm sorry, I have to leave to go pick up my grandkids to go swimming. So I just wanted to say thanks. This was great as usual. So much fun to see so many familiar faces.
Good to see you, Patricia.
From Angela's Saturday Zoom. Great job as always, and I'm so happy for you that you're back in your beloved Nice.
Thank you so much, my dear.
Well,
Thanks,
everyone.
Patricia.
Thank you. Thank you, Ella, for introducing me to Nice and inviting me into your family there. It was extraordinary, and I can hardly wait to return. And knowing more about your story just makes it even richer. So thank you for being you.
So welcome. And Terry will be speaking with the group that locally, but has gone globally, on Monday the 13th. So that's Monday. And that is through Angela Irwin's group. And we'll follow up and share that link with everybody as well. And I see my dear friend,
Ella.
Hi, Vicki. Do you have a question, honey?
Hi. Several. First, Ella, why do you bother to live in Atlanta at all?
Good question.
I think that my dear superstar spouse, Jody, is still with us, so he would take umbrage with you even asking that question. But I want to share a story about Miss Vicki here. So I went back with Joelle, or Elizabeth, I see also online. Thank y'all for joining us. And I saw, I think, Joelle earlier. But back in Atlanta, I went to, I learned about this organization, Atlanta Toulouse Sister City. Or
Yeah.
I was like, Toulouse, France, Atlanta, why are they sister cities? Well, lo and behold, and I've lived in Atlanta for many, many years and never knew this, but lo and behold, which former mayor's wife, Dr. Jackson, Mayor Andrew Jackson, his wife received her PhD in French in Toulouse. And after that, organized the Atlanta Toulouse Sister City. And I was like, well, who knew? There's a connection. Lovely, lovely. So they often put on cultural events, wine tastings, which I never attend, but I opted for, just a little joke there, anybody that knows me, I opted to go to this play that was all in French, and I understood like every other word. But as I went in, sat down, in walks this adorable lady that looks like she's decked out with Chanel. And she comes and she sits next to me. I'm like, oh my God, she's got to be French. Oh God, I've got to, how do I introduce myself? How do I talk to her? Because she's just so French and she's so elegant. And so I said, bonjour. And Vicky turned around and she goes, well, hello there. Sounding like Carol Channing, if any American knows who that is. And we have been fast friends ever since. And her daughter and son-in-law and grandson live in France.
And
so,
granddaughter.
Small world.
So, is Jody from Atlanta?
Jody is an Army brat, and he is from Northern Virginia, but he claims Atlanta home because Georgia Tech. And for 20 years, he has been dragging me back to Atlanta every September for Georgia Tech football. Now, we have enough Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech can't play football.
Yeah, well, there's another Georgia Tech football connection, and that's our dear friend Terry, whose fabulous son played and is now gone on for his PhD and a real success story. But no, and I don't know that they'll play this year, so I'm really not sure what Grandpa's going to be doing because he's not going to be happy. But maybe he should just come here because we know September's gorgeous.
September is the best month ever, isn't it?
It's so beautiful. Of course, you know, a rainy, cold day in Nice is better than a sunny day anywhere is kind of how I feel.
And I do need to clarify, speaking of Jody, I'm not Ella's boyfriend in Nice, I'm her gay boyfriend in Nice. Just in case anyone's wondering, don't forget that part. Because it's clear. Ella, the season is starting and you're going to kill my game. So,
my boyfriend who gave me this.
So I have a question. Who was able to watch the recent House Hunter show with John? A lot of you guys. I see that, right? So, what do you think about how risque it was?
Oh my God. I thought they would cut those things out, honestly. I cannot believe they put, I'm just having some wine and hanging out and at home, and I thought they would cut all those things out, but they didn't.
That's okay.
No, I think House Hunters really broke a lot of rules on this one.
Well, and the fact that HGTV was thrilled with it, from what I understood, I thought HGTV would say, but no. Lord knows my poor mama was blushing the whole time she was watching it, like, oh, sweet baby Jesus, what has my son done now?
That's it, John.
I already finished this bottle. I'm sorry. It's done. They go so quick.
So does anybody have any questions about Nice? Vicky.
I do. My question, let's see. Where's your flat located in Nice? Because it seems the ideal location. Ella.
It is the ideal location. We are in the center on Jean Médecin. And unfortunately, we don't have a balcony, but we have everything else that was right for us. So I see another friend, Angela, on here. We all know we have to prioritize and make some choices, make some decisions. And as much as I would have loved to have a balcony, it was more important for us to have some other elements to the house. So Jean Médecin is the street named after a long-standing mayor. Eventually his son was mayor as well, Jacques. And if anybody's been in our condo in Atlanta, you've seen a book that he wrote sitting on my coffee table there. A historical family, not sure if they were shady or not, if they were upright politicians or not. I should have really conferred with Robert Levitt before this presentation because he is the local historian. He knows everything. It couldn't be a better location for us. because we can walk to the beach in 4 or 5 minutes, take the tram all over the city. If we need to take a bus, it's around the corner, and we have everything that we need.
And Adrian's apartment and Ella's apartment and my apartment are all within, what, less than 5 minutes of each other?
Really
I'm literally steps from both of you, though.
And I'm steps away as well. And I'm just like right off of Jean Medecin.
That's right.
And mine is kind of like in this little enclave where there's families. I mean, in the evenings, I hear kids playing outside. It's so sweet.
Because your neighborhood is really lovely.
But
again, it's
like, all of you. Ella, you can use our balcony if we can use your storage.
Yeah.
That's the deal, dear. That is the
I saw a great tour of Nice recently on Facebook by John Garland, Sweet Baby Jesus.
Yeah, the John Garland tour. Yes.
Well, yeah, just to talk about location a little bit. So Ella is actually technically in Nice Centre because she's on the east side of Jean Medecin. And I see Nicole here, Nicole Marchand. She's in Nice Centre also, right? Raise your hand, Nicole. I see you on my screen. Yeah. There you go. And John and I are
Oh, I'm Angie. I'm not sure how I got under Nicole's ad.
Oh,
Angela.
you're right. It says Nicole, right?
It does.
Angela.
I must have used her link.
Angela, they call me Jody, and they call Jody Ella sometimes. So
there you go.
Perfect.
Right, that's right.
Actually, Angie's new name is Buzzer because on their apartment because they haven't been able to get over here. And they had put on, and I'm like, you guys got to get them to put your name on the buzzer and the mailbox at your building. Well, what they put was Buzzer and their last name.
Yeah.
I mean, literally the word buzzer.
The word buzzer. I sent them an email and said, hey, can you please put our name on the buzzer and the mailbox? Just please put Marchand.
And they put buzzer?
They put buzzer Marchand.
Oh my God, I love that story. That's great.
I'm like, look at your mailbox, and it says Buzzer Marchand. So that's what I'm calling Angie. I'm saying, hey, Buzzer.
That is too funny.
Weezer your buzzer.
Oh my goodness. Okay, and anyway, so Susan is in the Quartier des Musiciens, right? Just north of the Carré d'Or. John and I are in the Carré d'Or. Who else here is in Nice? On this, anybody else on the, who lives?
Christine is kind of in Nice, but she's in the UK right now, right?
So, Christine, when you're here, honey, we can't wait to see you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm unmuted. Yeah, I have a place in Nice, just round the corner from Le Truc, where John sings on Andrioli.
So you're on the Quartier des Fleurs.
And we had the most lovely afternoon tea together there. It was amazing.
Yeah, but it's not too far away either. It's still quite central.
So
but not
all the central neighborhoods are represented. Is there anybody here who lives at the port? No. Nobody at the port. Oh no, we're missing that.
Port. I'm curious about the port. I haven't spent enough time in that area, but every time I go to either, a couple times I've gone, I'm like, this is kind of cool. There's like a little arty area, like I think it's Rue Bonaparte. It's kind of,
they call it.
I just like to know more about it before I make my decisions about Nice.
Now even more, it's becoming even more lovely because the tram goes right there. And actually, Susan, our friend Sally, is at the port.
Right. Well, she's in Riquier, which is just north of the port.
Well, she's
Everything is so accessible, though. Now, as Ella said, it is so incredibly accessible that really you're not far away from anywhere. You want to do anything, whether you want to go out of town or stay local. It just really is the best located place wherever you are in Nice. I don't think you can go wrong.
Right.
I think Ella would agree.
My Airbnbs were all at the port because that's where I thought I was going to end up. And now that I'm in the Carador, I'm a Carador whore. I don't think I could leave. I'm too spoiled now being here.
I would start my search in that neighborhood because I'd want to be around you guys.
I want to acknowledge one of my favorite French friends, Miss Elizabeth here, who I actually met in Atlanta, and is just a marvelous healer.
Thank you, Ella. Thank you. I have a question. Not so much to you, Ella, because to you too, but all of you who are American and you live in Nice, I'm just wondering, could you share with us rapidly what made you settle in Nice?
Good question.
For me, it honestly was like a calling, like literally. Like I felt like God was telling me this is where I was supposed to be. Or whether you want to say it's the universe or whatever, I overwhelmingly felt like I was supposed to be here. And I'd only been here I had been here before for less than 2 days with my idiot ex that I complain about on the show. And it was a stopover. I had no interest in Nice. It was my friend in Perpignan, which is like far southwest France, that I had met in high school years ago. She was an exchange student in my hometown, and when we came here, she showed everyone around in Paris. So we were coming from Perpignan to Rome, and the only thing really in between to do was Nice to like break up the trip. And I was like, I guess we'll go to Nice. I don't really want to, but okay, we'll do that. And then I got here and I was like, holy crap, this place is freaking like magic.
What year?
And it is. It's just a magical place.
I lived in Southern California for over 25 years. I raised my kids there. This beats Southern California, and Ella knows hands down. I mean,
It's just Southern California, and like I said, when I got off the plane, when Jody and I landed over 30 years ago for a vacation, and I think he still regrets that suggestion, that destination. I got off the plane and I went, oh my God, this is like the best of everything in Southern California without the BS. And there's the beautiful French language.
And then, it's like, all the plants and the trees. Everything here. Remember when we were walking around, I kept going, oh, look, there's oleander. Oh, there's an olive tree. Oh, it's all the same landscaping material and plants that they have in Southern California. But you've got the French and the south of France way of life and the mindset. And it's just, it's absolutely beautiful here.
It is. Elizabeth, tell everybody where you're from and why so Elizabeth is my French friend, and she now lives in Atlanta, so I'm always like, why?
Yeah, I ask myself the question these days quite a bit, believe me. I was born and raised in Paris, France, in Belleville, Ménilmontant. It's the neighborhood of Edith Piaf and Charles Trenet, for those who know those guys. So I'm from I like to say I'm from the real Paris, not the postcard Paris, got nothing to do with it. And I'm from originally an Italian-French background. So it's a little bit like the Italian Americans. We're a very specific community.
How long have you been in Atlanta?
13 years or 14 years, depending how you look at it. I went back 1 year. And I've been able to stay here only because I was fortunate enough to go back. I've been fortunate enough to go back very frequently to my home city. Otherwise, I don't think I could have made it. But there's also, home is wherever you find yourself, right? It doesn't matter where. And in a way, I found a big part of myself in Atlanta, believe it or not. It's weird. So.
A lot of Americans in France could say the same thing.
Yes, exactly. So that's we're one world, it doesn't matter. Wherever we find ourselves, our soul, it doesn't matter where.
True.
Where you are planted.
We have another niece Laz on the call here. Shelley, tell us where you are in Nice. I've met Shelley during lockdown. Christine will know, and Sharon as well. Angela Irwin's weekly social boost during physical distancing times that we've been doing for 16 or 17 weeks now. Shelley, where are you when you are in Nice?
When I'm in Nice, so far I have been renting, and I have been on the Promenade des Anglais at Gambetta.
All right. So
Be worse. There's a worse place to shelter, I guess.
Now I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota in the U.S., and that's where Ella's son and grandchildren are.
Yes.
And your daughter too, I assume?
We have one daughter in California and one daughter in Atlanta.
Okay.
So our daughter-in-law is in St. Paul, Minnesota, and somehow I feel better knowing that you're there. I feel better for them knowing that you're there, because they won't just be hearing from me how fabulous Nice is. They'll hear it from somebody else.
Elizabeth?
Are you going to write another book?
Oh, such a good question. Thank you, Elka. Boy, I'm glad I prompted you to ask me that. My next project, because I'm, again, a blog that I repurposed into a book, and now I transitioned to an ebook. And my next thing I'm going to do with this same tired content, but it's my content, I'm going to translate it into French. Okay. And then I'm going to have Elizabeth correct it. No.
Elizabeth.
I think that'll be a really good lesson for me. Unfortunately, my dear sweet tutor, the patron saint of patience, Paul, I don't think with us tonight, but I think I'm going to do that and just use that as an opportunity to learn a bit more. But I stopped blogging, and the longest period of time that I ever stayed away from Nice was when I became involved in a tech startup. And although I was able to license the technology that we created and to another startup, and now a legitimate enterprise in Atlanta run by a lovely lady that I don't believe is with us, but I see Jeffrey, my cohort, with eCloset. So I've in my mind, I have a manuscript. I have the outline for my next book, which I secured the title for, which is kind of important to do. But I didn't put a target date on it. So I don't know when that's going to be. Now, our oldest granddaughter, who many of you all might still know as Baby Ella, she's 12 and taller than me. She and I have written a book because Jody always likes to say, well, if you want to change the world, you start by making your bed. So we always, Jody's the military brat, and so the beds are made, And so with Ella and her little sister Nora, Grandpa would always say, nope, we're on a vacation. Their grandpa would, oh, there he is. I'm talking about you, sweetie. You can weigh in here. But I would always say to the girls, we've got to make the bed. No, we'll go out and play or something like that. But and they would just look at me and go, we know, we want to change the world, we have to start by making our beds. And from there I thought, well, you know what? Why don't I engage with them a little bit further and say, well, what else should we do if we want to change the world? And this is going back a few years ago. And so Ella at the time was maybe 7 or 8, and she goes, well, we need to wash our hands. I said, okay, let's add that to the list. So we came up together with 10 different things that we want to change the world, start by, and we have written about that. It's just a small children's book that's not been published. The girls have done some artwork for it, and their father, our dear sweet son, had put in a few family sayings as well in his native language. And that's going to be the next thing. I think now that I've been able to digitize my book and make that available on Amazon in an ebook, that I know the process a little bit better. So I'll engage Ella because she knows technology better than I do. And we'll see if our book together, If You Want to Change the World, Start By, is published next time.
Elizabeth, it's Vicki Allen, and since we are both good friends with Ella, and I'm in Atlanta and you're in Atlanta, I would love for us to go to lunch together.
Oh, with pleasure. Awesome.
Yes. So, what's the
I love
best way
this. I love this. They're making lunch dates on Zoom.
I'm sending you my number.
Ellen, you want to include my friend Jeffrey.
You're in Atlanta. You're in Atlanta, Jeffrey. Oh, great.
Vicky, yeah, I'm sending you my my number.
Excellent. And Jody, you can join us.
It'd be a Friends of Ella lunch.
Oh, Jeffrey, yes, Jeffrey, you have my number, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is as close as it gets to actually being live. You know, when you're on Zoom and all of you in Atlanta can make a lunch date. That's like the best. I love that.
That's a great idea.
50 people now, well, 43 people on now and we don't have to worry about those blessed masks.
All these Atlanta people that wish they were in Nice.
Masks.
Can I ask one of the participants here, one of the attendees here, to weigh in and tell us what they like about Nice? Jody, you want to answer that?
Jody, you have to unmute him. There he is.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to like. At the moment, Nice isn't high on my list because my wife is over there and I'm not. So
yeah, well, why aren't you here, Jody?
Well, you know, Ella's like, why don't you just get your carte séjour? Why don't you learn some French, get a French degree?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Well, why would I do all that? Because, I mean, how many people here speak English? Okay? Everybody.
Well, we don't care about the French, but if you got your visa, then you could come over and you wouldn't have this problem right now. And we'd get to see you. Because
But, you know, Adrian, you know, my dad used to say if a bullfrog had wings, he wouldn't bump his butt every time he landed, you know. So I don't speak French, and you know, Ella loves it. You know, unfortunately at this point she considers it her home, and visiting me is like you know, kind of a necessary evil. And
come on.
No, that's true. It's true. I mean, so but no, I would be there now if they would let me in. I love spending 3 or 4 months a year there. I saw somebody posted up on the chat, not sure it was, that they were thinking about moving to the south of France, but they weren't sure about Nice because they thought it was overrun with tourists.
I just answered that one.
Oh, did you? Well, my answer, without seeing your answer, is that there's some truth to that. If you're a people watcher, you know, that's a bonus because the scenery sort of passes you by. But unlike a lot of other places, Nice is a city. And if in addition to the touristy stuff and the markets and the you know, the sights to see, it's also, if you're going to stay there an extended period of time, there's stuff you need to have done. You know, your appliance breaks, you need your air conditioning fixed, you need your bicycle tire fixed, you need to buy, you know, something. And if you're living up in the hinterlands, and I know there are people we know that are, that, you know, you have to have a car and you have to commute in to do something that's relatively routine. The good news where we are is you go out the front door and there's basically everything you need within a half a mile. I tell people here that have never been that if you put a map tack in our apartment and draw a 1 mile radius, which is you know, 15, 20-minute walk, there are 300 restaurants. There's the Mediterranean. There's
maybe more, Jody.
Could be more. I mean, you've got the train station, you've got the Mediterranean, you've got the largest flower market in Europe, you've got, you know, as Ella said, you can get on a train and be in, you know, Switzerland or Rome or something overnight. And so it's a great leaping off spot, and quality of life's good. never had a bad meal, even though I've had a few at McDonald's. McDonald's are pretty good. So
He admits to it.
Yes. Hey. My biggest complaint about Nice is they don't have a Taco Bell yet. Okay, and when they get a Taco Bell, I'll think about getting my visa. So.
You are so funny.
But I don't know if you've tried the Tex-Mex place I've been going to yet. So when you get here, you have to go.
Okay, we'll try it. We'll try it.
Poco Loco is my their chicken flautas are amazing.
Well, John, you come from Tex-Mex land, so you're a pretty good.
I just haven't found any good Americanized Chinese food that's really good and breaded and fried. Everything's like not breaded.
Thank God we haven't found that.
Ella, what was the Chinese place on the prom that opened? It's a bit of a high-end place.
Wasn't it the most delicious meal ever?
Yes, we were there last summer. I don't remember the name of it. They moved from near the port to the prom, and I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the one where I ate the crawfish in that fabulous brown sauce.
Yeah.
Right?
So I needed some breaded Chinese food, and I need some fried catfish, coleslaw, and hush puppies, which I have. I don't think I'm going to
what's interesting, though, what Adrian just said is interesting to me. So people remember individual meals. They'll remember I had a meal and it was crawfish and this brown sauce, and they could tell you what the table looked like. That, that's something over here. You go to sort of just a typical restaurant, and I can't tell you what I had to eat yesterday, much less years ago. So, and I will say I can confirm I had the best meal I've ever had in my life in Moulin, at the Moulin Mugine in Mougin. How do you say it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, Roger Verger.
Roger Verger's restaurant there, so it's excellent.
On the subject of tourists in Nice, just to answer that question, of course there are lots of tourists in Nice, and mostly the tourists are there in the summer. That's the high season, clearly. And they come from all over, except this year it's really locals. The French are now coming down to Nice because they're kind of staying close to home. But I think that's part of the whole fun of it. That's what I like. I like the fact that it's overrun with these crazy tourists. The people watching is fantastic. And one of my favorite things to do is to lay on the beach and watch the antics, of which I have seen lots of interesting things, including sex in front of me on the beach, complete. I mean,
sex on the beach.
And it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
But you're making it
year round. I mean, it's touristy certain months of the year. So
you're making it more appealing, Adrian. The more you talk.
Aha, there you go. No, but here's the funny story. This couple was like seriously at it, okay, in front of me on the the galet, right? And a guy with flyers was handing out flyers, and I swear this is true. A guy handing out flyers came along and interrupted them to hand the guy a flyer, and he looked up like, really? I snapped a photo.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, this is Nice. Nice is nice.
There's 3 or 4 pages in my book dedicated to my the printout of my DNA, which is just looks like something from an old IBM card. But my DNA literally goes back to the region. So even though I can really connect to my Swedish roots, my family that is still there, Jody and I visited them several times. They've been here, they've been in America. Nice is just in my blood. So it's nice. Elizabeth said to me one time when we first met, I said, I just really love living in Nice. I really love being there. She goes, Ella, even French people want to live in Nice.
Ella, I have 2 quick questions. One, I wrote it down and now I forgot I had to wait so long. Okay, well, here you go. Oh, is Jill on? You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't believe that she is, Vicki, but I will see her Sunday at church.
So, well, I'll see her cousin Monday.
Yeah. This is a cute story. It seems like all roads lead back to Nice. So I meet Vicki at a French theater production. I think she's French, and then we find out that, you know, she's like this little bitty reincarnation of Carol Channing living right in Atlanta. And so Vicki contacts me during lockdown, which I know that much of America still needs to be in. And she said, "Oh, so I said, well, my friend in Alabama is cousins with Jill from Holy Trinity in Nice." I'm like, "No, really?" So yeah, our Jill. Yeah, so I mean, just really, really comical. Going back to the Mexican food story, John, whenever somebody mentions Mexican food, which I'm okay with, I'm not a huge fan. Jody likes it very much. But Jody, you'll remember this story very well. Long before we bought our flat, we would always go to the same little hotel near the prom, and that's really where our network began. John at nearby La Havana, across the street, you know, just catty corner to La Havana. And so the hotelier, who I think might be on the call, Philippe, I'm not sure if he is or not, but just really became good friends. We would see them every year, a couple of times a year, took good care of us, their little hotel there in Rue de France. And we would go around the corner to this Mexican restaurant. And we got to know, if Kathy and Bill are on this call, they'll appreciate this story. We got to know the proprietor, Frank. Frank is French. He spent a lot of years, or was born in Texas, is that right, sweetie? Paris, Texas. He's from Paris, Texas. His father was French, and he grew up in Paris, and he originally had a Mexican restaurant in Paris, and then he had one in Nice, and that's where we met him. Not sure.
Hour from my hometown, by the way.
Pardon?
Paris, Texas is only an hour from my hometown, by the way. It was our rival, one of our rival high schools.
Yeah, so John, we had dinner with him and his wife Connie when we saw Fat Cat last year. Remember, with Kathy?
And I've seen them a couple of times since then. Before we moved out.
So we meet Frank, and then one time years later, I'm going to Texas to visit some of my family there, and I'm making chocolate martini. And those are, the ingredients are really sophisticated. So I drive and where my relative lived, they didn't sell alcohol, so they had to drive, hours to, buy alcohol, which is completely uncivilized. And we go to the first liquor store, and I walk in, and the gentleman, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yes, I wanted to make a chocolate martini, but I need chocolate, syrup or whatever it is." He goes, "Well, try this. It's from France." I'm like, "Wait a minute. I spent a lot of time in France. I don't know this liquor." And he goes, "Well, yeah." He goes, "My friend, has a restaurant there, and I encourage him to carry this brand, and that's where he learned about it." I go, "Really? Where?" He goes, "In Nice." I said, "Well, what kind of restaurant?" He goes, "Mexican food." I said, "That couldn't be Frank, would it?" All roads lead back to Nice, it seems like. I mean, the smallest stories I have in my whole life I'll come back to me somehow. So
I have the most important question of all for Ella.
Yes.
Ella, could you elaborate somewhat on your work at the Playboy Mansion?
My dear, that is another story for another time.
Okay.
I'm a welfare baby, so I did not have a high school dropout. I did not have a career path at all. So between driving a truck and working at the mansion and being a licensed bail bond agent, I've kind of done a variety of things, but my current role as Adrian's assistant on and property search agent here on the Riviera is my favorite.
Of course.
Oh, that's the right thing to say.
Do you all know anything about Airbnb? I'm poor.
I'm sorry, what, dear?
Do you know anything about Airbnb in Nice?
Yes.
I'm poor.
Airbnb is available. It's available. So if you are searching for accommodation when the front bureau is to Americans, which I hope that it will, or if you can navigate the visa system, which is very it's difficult without a pandemic. It's very difficult right now. You just go on Airbnb and select Nice and start looking for what you want. And if you're curious about the neighborhood, send me the link. Terry did that a while back. She's like, Ella, what do you think about this area? And I said, oh, you definitely want that. I'd stay away from this area, or I gave her some suggestions. So,
well,
yeah.
I've used Airbnb at least 6 times in France. Perpignan was probably my favorite, but did you publish on Amazon?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Don't they offer an option, and when you pay a lot more, to help promote your book?
I'm not sure what kind of promotions that they do. I'm researching that. I did a big push when it came out. Elizabeth was there. I literally had my book launch party, and get this, at the Margaret Mitchell house, because that's
right.
My favorite. Yes, and I'm like, oh, I mean, if she can write a book, I'm so
exactly.
And family and friends, Terry and everybody came out and supported me, and it was a lot of fun. And then the next year here in Nice, and if Jill was with us, she would remember this, and some other folks. We began the Meet the Authors group, and since Adrian, I started we started at about 2014. And then you joined us a few years later as our moderator, and that has grown. In fact, we outgrew the two venues.
Right.
2 venues. And what we do is, typically it's in June. Not sure when it'll be next, maybe June of 2021. I collect local authors, or authors that have something to do with France, that have written about France. And we have a program talking about some brilliant books. Gentleman, Craig, Paris, Lisa, My Part-Time Paris Life, and many other just delightful authors. And it has been an event that has just grown. It was standing room only the last few years, and we trying to find another venue. But now, after lockdown, one good thing is that we can go global with it, because we can also broadcast it via Zoom when we resume the Meet the Authors.
Well, we definitely need to resume Meet the Authors. It just depends on when. So that's an event that you can count on for next year, I would say. And we were supposed to have a conference, a 3-day conference in Nice, and then a tour de Provence that was supposed to take place this October, but that's now going to take place in Nice and Provence next September. So you could put that on your list, and you'll be hearing about that very soon, as I manage to get the promo off, out the door. So keep that in mind.
September of 2020?
21. September 21. Yeah.
Right.
Next year. Yeah, September next year. When all this is over.
Right.
When all this insanity is over.
Right. Our colleague that licensed the technology that I created years ago, that Elizabeth also knows, our colleague Tangeria will be doing a fashion tour with a curated tour in Nice. In fact, we had that scheduled for May. She was here last fall and researching a week's visit for both restaurants, cultural events, and all the luxury consignment stores that are in the area. And so that's been put on hold, but that's something that we look forward to doing.
Oh,
Yep.
great. Okay.
So note to self, I hear two things September 2021 Nice.
That's right. Start planning. Plus, it's a gorgeous time of year. On the note of apartment rentals, just so you guys know, Ella has a small apartment that she rents short term. I let friends of Parlay Paris stay in my apartment when I'm not there. I can't say rent, but okay, so well, particular people who I have direct contact with. And probably the best agency for Nice is Nice Pebbles, don't you think, Ella?
They're very reliable. They're very reliable.
Right.
I've worked with some other independents.
But
so
this is for short term. For long-term rentals, for 1 year, okay, is it takes an act of God to get approval from a landlord to actually rent a long-term apartment, and that is why Ella is out there searching for apartments to secure for our clients, like John, for instance, and like Susan Callahan and some others. So, but it's something that we do, and we can help you if you really get the bug to come to Nice, which I'd be thrilled if everybody got the bug to come to Nice, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything, since we have 4 minutes left, is there anything you'd like to close the session with, Ms. Dyer?
Just again, thank you everybody for joining us. It's quite a pleasure. It's a little. I would say this, but Jody I'll say this, but Jody will joke later. I said it can be a little daunting to talk about this now. And Jody, I'm sure, like, oh, you do that all the time. So, seeing familiar faces is helpful. I just hearing this experience, and like I said, whether it be writing your own story, which I've always thought about is write what you know. But Adrian's speaker last month said, take a moment, and if there's something that interests you, don't know about it, research it. It's an opportunity to learn. And I thought that was really brilliant. So I encourage everybody has a story. I encourage everybody to write down it maybe for generations.
Well, Ella, thank you so much. This has just been delightful. And spending a couple hours talking about Nice always makes me happy. Since I'm here in Paris and I can't wait to get there next week. I also want to thank everybody for participating in our Zoom Après Midi. Since we've been in confinement, I hope everybody's sort of enjoying their confinement and deconfinement these days. And look for us now. We're off for August. August is vacation, but we'll be back in September. It's the second Tuesday of the month. It's going to be at the usual 3 o'clock Paris time. So as I said, I don't know if we're going to be able to do it on Zoom or not, but we're going to try. And right now we're scheduled to have Cara Black, the author of Murder Mysteries. And I still have to confirm that because she has to be able to get here. So it's just not easy. One last reminder, we are recording this. We will make a link available. So, don't hesitate to look back at it. And thank you, everyone.
Where's the link gonna be?
Okay. We're down last minute, and then I end the meeting for all.
Where will be the link for the recording?
we'll put it in the newsletter. So you just have to read Parley Paris.
I'll send it to you.
I do.
Well, good. There you go. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of evening. Great weekend.
Yeah.
Bye. Ella, thank you, dear. Bye.